So, welcome. I am so excited to have Fadi and Cem, since we have done Insider with Fadi and Picos and Upstairs with Cem. We have a lot to talk. But before I start, I want to have the sentiment of the room. Who are positive about the startup scene now? Optimists? That's a good one. I love that.
They have to.
What about the venture capital? Okay, I guess startups are... Yes, Fadi, thank you. So today what we are going to do, we are going to give you the macro view and then on the ground real stories from the founders, what's changing, and obviously thinking models of these amazing two gentlemen here. I'm going to give really brief intro for both of them, but I will ask you to make a better intros. But Fadi, you are the founder of RMX, FedEx of Middle East. Do you hate it or not? I don't know. But he
better than FedEx.
He literally built the ecosystem in Middle East. Like whoever you talk to in Middle East, any founder, they love him, and he made a big impact. And obviously, Cem, you are the founder of Bek, Early Bird Digital East. I was in London last week. I was so proud because everybody was talking about your performance. Being a Turkish VC made a big difference. So, but I want to start with where you are investing now. What are you focusing on? And then we can dive into the macro view later.
So we're very consistent in general. We are early stage investors. We like to be very early stage investors. So we do seed, sometimes pre-seed, and a bit of Series A. We focus mostly on the ecosystem around the GCC, including Turkey. So I will say Turkey because it's an ecosystem in and by itself. It's not necessarily tied to the GCC, but there is some elements of connection now and certain things. And we are, like all early stage investors. We go wide. And today with AI, we are going more into the founder and the capabilities of the founder, engineering work. And so, yeah.
You are actually changing your view from, because you were really e-commerce software heavy, going into
that's
more technical
now, so,
founders, obviously, as an early
So we move with the market, right, obviously.
Yes.
So the early days of our markets in the region, specifically in the GCC. GCC is a consumer market, so it doesn't have the tech capabilities that you have here. I mean, Turkey is just incredible with the engineering talent that comes out of it. But so originally, like all startups, they digitize the economies that they live in. And they solve for the consumer that is in that economy. And then, but in today's world, I think things are moving and changing differently. And there is, specifically in the GCC today, they want to be leaders in AI, specifically in infrastructure. So the sovereign wealth funds are going out and spending billions of dollars on building the basic groundwork for AI. And they feel that they're going to be at least they want to be transforming their economies from being oil-based economies to, effectively digital-based and AI-based economies. So you will see them building compute data centers, and now the Americans have allowed them to import massive amounts of NVIDIA chips. I mean, that's you wanted to talk about politics, so there's a lot of politics in that story.
But go into that.
But that's how they want to play. They're going big, and there's two competitors in that game, and that's the UAE and Saudi Arabia, and they're both building exactly the same story.
And there are many things happening at crypto space too, which we are going to dive into later. But coming back to Cem, where you are investing.
Fadi started his intro with consistency. I think we're doing the same. I helped run Bek Ventures. This is now our third fund, investing since 2013. It's a $250 million fund. We consider ourselves early stage investors. These days, that means pre-seed, seed, and selectively A rounds. Our first checks range from about $1 million to about $12 million. We build concentrated portfolios. We think alpha comes from high conviction in venture. Venture is a very tough industry today. It wasn't that case, 10, 20 years ago. But if you look at mean and median returns in the industry, I don't think any investor is interested in those. You
So
have to
why? We should double click there. So,
well, greed. I think the world has seen that the amount of economic value created over the last 20 years. If you look at the, weighting of the Mag 7 in, Nasdaq and S&P 500 indexes, essentially trillions of dollars of value has been created, and anybody who's managing a portfolio, whether it's a small family portfolio of a couple of $1 million all the way to sovereign wealth funds, they want a piece of that action. Like, where's my piece of that cake? I want in.
Exactly.
And then, smart-driven people kind of smell where that greed is going. So there's been a flood into early-stage VC. One of the interesting things about being an investor is that there's no qualification. All you have to do is say, I'm an investor, and you're an investor. It doesn't matter if you've written one check or 1,000 checks. Doesn't matter if you're investing 50,000 or 50 million. It gets super crowded. So that's what's made the industry very
and actually, it takes more than 10 years to show if you are good at this job or not.
Exactly. And
they've done an incredible job. I don't think many VCs perform like they do. So congratulations.
Thank you. But I think that's really a fruit of the discipline and consistency.
Absolutely.
I think we've been looking to show. It's very tempting to start feeling you're a great picker, so let me do this, let me do that. So what we do is we focus only on founder teams with links to our region. We think we have a bit of a competitive edge in this region. So we've clung on to that, even though, flexibility is appealing. I think discipline and being able to say no to larger fund sizes or broader mandates. So I think we've benefited from that, but it's tough.
Actually,
it's very tough. Yeah, just to talk about crowded markets, just a statistic for you. Right at the beginning of the pandemic until today, Saudi Arabia had 2 or 3 VCs. Now they have 55.
Yes.
So crowded makes it difficult.
Yes.
So, and very difficult to get into these markets when there is really relatively easy money. Even though it's good, I'm never complaining about more money, but it is crowded. And
actually, I remember the early days. It was all like $100 billion market. Then SoftBank created a $100 billion fund, and we said, oh, we doubled. Now it's like trillions of dollars at the end of the day, obviously. But also on the LP side, I guess gold, Mag 7, inflation, interest rates makes it difficult on our side too, on the venture. But it's not that gloomy. Just to go on the realistic side. But okay, if we are talking about cycles, I think this is a cycle business at the end of the day, and half of the market is AI investments, and half of that AI investments are going to the top 10 investments in the AI, which is
globally, you mean?
Globally. So the question is, are we in AI bubble or not?
Well, it depends on, look, for me, maybe Cem also, but I've seen all these bubbles and everyone keeps talking about, my first investment was in a bubble. And so it depends on when you exist in that bubble, and so you need to benefit from that bubble so that you
where you get in and where do you
but look, bubbles happen. So when in the early days people questioned, do people want to buy online? Do people don't want to read stuff online, etc., right? And so some companies vanished and the industry happened, and there were few people that were connected to the internet, and then everyone now is. So is there a market? Is that what it is at the end of the day? Yes. So AI, is that going to be there for the long term? Absolutely. So do you invest in it? Absolutely. The whole industry. That's what we do for a living. We are in the business in risk investing and investing in companies that are building the future. Some of them will make it, some of them will not make it. But bubble, maybe, could be a bubble. I mean, it's good to be part of the very early days of these bubbles so that
And hopefully, if we are good at the winners, that's a really good bubble.
Absolutely.
So that's going to help us at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
What do
So
you
you
think,
need to be
Cem?
very patient investors, long-term investors. You need to have a long view on this story. You can't be hit and run. Hit and runs will not make it in bubbles.
Perfect. What do you think, Cem?
I think we're absolutely in a bubble, and thank God for bubbles. I think our industry owes its existence to bubbles.
Yes.
So
Without
not on
bubbles-
record, please.
Without bubbles, you don't have people with very high opportunity costs to quit their very high-paying job and start a company which by default shouldn't exist. There should never be a Google in a world with a Yahoo. There should never be a OpenAI in a world with Google, but here we are. So, and that's thanks to bubbles. At the same time, I think our industry gets definitions a bit confused, or I think that's actually a bit on purpose, as in it's good to conflate notions so that you can't really distill what's going on in different buckets around this industry. I feel, for example, you mentioned the half of investments going into top 10 companies. Well, if you look at the entry valuations, OpenAI is a startup, right? It's been around, I don't know, less than 10 years.
We need to redefine what
startup
is.
is.
Exactly. Here's a company where we woke up, a year and a half ago, and the company didn't have a CEO. The CEO was gone. But at the same time, I don't know, it's $500 billion right now. At these entry prices, what kind of return are you looking for? I think, again, venture capital and the word startup and the risk and reward associated with different strategies is now quite blurry. And I think the industry overall benefits from this kind of lack of clarity. Again, it sort of fuels a bubble, brings more capital in. That's great, but investor beware. I think
Yes.
you have to be extremely cautious. We try to move based on first principles thinking. We keep asking why and so what into every decision we're making, and hopefully it'll deliver us to, once again, a concentrated portfolio where if we are right in some of those answers that we come up with, we get the returns that our investors trust us to deliver to them.
Actually, Ece, if she's here, Coastline invested at OpenAI, but so many Silicon Valley VC friends they passed, they thought it was expensive. Now we are talking a company, 800 million active users and billions revenue. But going back to the bubble, I think Carlota Perez, she's a phenomenal researcher. She looked back all the technological revolutions. She says you need the bubble to lay the infrastructure, and I believe we are right in the deployment phase now, which is going to be where we really create the value for the future. So going back to venture again at the macro level, what else you are seeing? In GCC, crypto is a big thing. I think UAE created really good environment for those companies, how it's affecting the ecosystem.
So let me tell you the mindset of the UAE. So what they do, why is crypto heavy in the UAE? Meaning, why did a lot of crypto founders come and move to Dubai specifically? Is because they looked around the world and they found that people are chasing them out, right? So Singapore, Hong Kong, India at certain times, in and out. So they went out and said, we're going to regulate, have some sort of a regulatory regime that allows these people to come in here and not worry that they're going to be chased out, right? And so everyone came and moved in. But there is another ecosystem. There's a city ecosystem over there, not only a startup ecosystem. So there is all sorts of benefits that you get out of that. So again, as was discussed earlier, so talent comes, and then talent moves other talent back in, and so they're a global city, and that's how they think of themselves. So there is an indigenous early stage startup ecosystem, but there are people that are coming in at a much later stage.
Smart minds.
So the founder of Revolut, for instance, moved and lived in Dubai for why? For these reasons. So they go out and target unicorn companies and tell them come and set up here, and so that's of great benefit. Because once you have these big companies coming into this region, you are going to have graduates of these companies, whether they exit or don't exit, and so it benefits the ecosystem. So, and you create, you get knowledge, you get to learn, and you get this incredible talent that comes out from outside the country. Different from what you have here in Turkey. So obviously Turkey has an indigenous talent population. The UAE is an importer of talent. And so watch out for your Turkish talent going to Dubai, right? we have much more than ever before, actually.
Yes, they are all over global markets. But actually, touching base on the digitalization of money, now stablecoin, I think, found the product market fit at the end of the day.
Founder of stablecoin was in Saudi Arabia when you were there, by the way.
Yes,
did you know?
I know.
Yeah,
It was a really good
the
room.
stuff is happening there.
And when I told people I'm Turkish, they always ask me, Turks are the biggest, like they're showing the biggest growth at Tether. So we are famous with crypto all around the world now,
Yes.
for sure. So coming back to you, Cem, what else do you see other than AI? Or is everything AI?
There's now a new computing paradigm. I think software has historically been used to predict and to automate. And you did it via different approaches and architecture over the last few decades. And a few years ago, you realized that, okay, there's this sort of neural networks way of trying to predict and automate. So all of a sudden, if you're trying to solve a problem using software and computing, there's now a new way you do it. So you tap into it. Everything we've seen over the last 5 years has been some AI component built into it. There's also lots of companies that are older that are now trying to reinvent themselves as AI companies. But I'd say, new startups of the last 5 years, the vast majority are AI native.
Okay, really cool.
But
Inevitable.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think it's...
I think everything is going to be AI at the end of the day. We will say AI.
I mean, just like the internet, everything is online right now. Everything is internet. There's not an economic function you can separate from, what part of that business is internet driven. I mean, restaurants. Look at all the delivery. Look at all the online CRM and sourcing capabilities. So I think every industry has become that. So, but at the same time, it becomes very difficult to determine where value accrues in the long term. How would you allocate at the dawn of internet, for example? Would you invest into search companies? Well, there's really one search company that has created value, and that was through sort of advertising. Email, one of the most successful technologies of the last 50 years. Where did that value accrue to? Email is free. Google arguably won that. But same with internet application servers. Netscape. At one point, it looked like the winner of the internet. Where did that go? Linux won the, I think, infrastructure layer of the internet. So open source ended up winning. So I think today, I see the current infrastructure software build out as being difficult to really determine where value ultimately accrues to.
So, which means we are betting more and more on the founders. So I want to go on the ground. So who you are betting? How is your model working now to pick the best? What are you looking for at the founders?
Look, being early stage, you're always betting on founders, right? Because this is the ultimate earliest risk possible in any startup. So founders and the team are critical to investments in AI and in the necessity of deep engineering talent in AI. You're betting on the founder even much more than ever before, right? So you don't only have to have business sense. You have to have the deep engineering capability or have the ability to attract that engineering capability so that you are able to build the companies of today. Because AI native, there is no other way that you're going to be building companies in the software world other than
Definitely
than being AI native. And so you need AI talent inside. And so, this talent is not easy to have nowadays.
Really hard
with
and
all
expensive.
that bubble that you're talking about, that's what happens. Talent becomes much more expensive, becomes much more rare, and countries like Turkey is going to be a beneficiary of that, because you have that early infrastructure in your universities and in the emerging ecosystem that you are building here. And so it's, and what we heard earlier from the minister, I'm impressed with the techno parks and the research centers that are being built. This is how you build the future of startups and future economies. It has to be a partnership, and the government has to always be part of it and to give incentives. So that you are able, because infrastructure, most of the companies or investors do not do infrastructure because they're very long-term, they're very expensive,
it takes a lot of
and it requires all sorts of other talents, specifically in countries that are not necessarily the size of the U.S. or China or India. So you have massive scale. We have relatively good scale, but not to the level that where investors can come and sit and wait for 20, 30 years. We're just not. We're patient, but we're not that patient.
But you are kind of unique, because when you invested in Insider, it was you were one of the VCs they bet on a Turkish founder.
I'm lucky Hande came and visited us very early.
So, but going back, it was all about e-commerce. Then Insider probably was like the first global software.
E-commerce, last mile payment, etc. Everything that all that e-commerce ecosystem, right?
Yes.
How do we buy? How do we get entertained online? And that was the original story of this region. It's global, by the way. So we shouldn't be embarrassed about it. China started with consumer stuff, and then eventually they're leaders in AI now.
But to give you an idea what Turkish founders are working on now, we just invested at Periodic Labs. They are creating AI scientists and robotic labs, bringing like 25 the best scientists from all around the world. Or another company working on the agent memory problem. They are going to be on the next generation of hardwares from all around the world. So what I'm saying, it kind of evolved a lot and grow into more deep tech side, which is fascinating to see. Hopefully we will see more. But I also want to come back to, so this is about the teams. We had a really nice conversation with you, and I want to double click on that, Cem. So what kind of teams you are looking at, and also what changed on the founder side, on the playbook that we talked?
I think our business is very much about trying to imagine what a world looks like and what a company looks like in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And when you look at the current rate of change, it becomes extremely difficult to do that. Look at how fast things are changing right now. So what comes to the forefront for us as a number one priority when trying to assess a team and seeing if it's a good fit for us is adaptability. Can they change with the changing landscape? Because one thing is certain, that the landscape will change as they really grow, as they evolve. Can they adapt, and are they agile? Second is the importance of talent. We're now hearing about 10-figure contracts offered by Meta to some of the top AI engineers. This is salary contracts. This is not entrepreneurial risk-taking. This is you come, you work for me for 5 years, and your compensation is going to be about $1 billion. We've never seen anything like that before. And we experience this on a day-to-day basis in our companies. Our engineers are getting called by Meta, by Alphabet, essentially trying to concentrate talent because they have the balance sheet to be able to corrupt the entrepreneurial ecosystem with this type of just flooding the zone with cash. So a mission-driven founder team is becoming more and more important for us, rather than more mercenary instincts, because I think making money is a primary driver for many of the best entrepreneurs. But we love the chip on the shoulder, having something to prove the world that yes, their idea will win, They'll show everyone that they're doing this better. We try to look for that edge in the founder teams that we.
So what I'm hearing, we are looking more full teams who can make faster iterations at the end of the day. And you said they should be closer to their customers.
Well, I think, in a world where it's, as I said, it's difficult to kind of determine or predict where value will accrue, I think understanding the market need better has become more important than ever. Yeah. That's why being closer to your customers wherever you're selling and tightening the iteration cycle becomes important, which then determines some of the talent flows around the world in tech. Today, half our portfolio is U.S. headquartered because the biggest market they sell to is the U.S.
Perfect. So I was chatting a founder outside. She was asking what VCs are looking for as attraction-wise. And I said, previously, we were looking for triple, double, which was after $1 million revenue as a software as a service company. Now I said, no way, because we hear about either no revenue, by the way, a big vision and mission, or you are hearing lowables, fall 1 million, 30 million, 100 million, I guess. So the expectation levels are so high now, but my question to you, what are you looking for on the traction so they can know?
First of all, for anyone who's passing on the triple, doubles, please send them to me.
please come to us.
First principles thinking. I think there's going to be fantastic companies who are growing at healthy, sustainable revenue levels. We are seeing a vacuum of demand in certain pockets with some of the companies you mentioned. We also, fortunately, have a few companies like that. But when you are experiencing such demand explosion for what you're offering, your competitors are facing the same as well. So for every Lovable out there, there is a Replit. And ultimately, for every Harvey out there is a Legora. So I'll take healthy metrics, well-managed cohort management, listening to customers, iterating on the product. So call me old-fashioned, but I'll take the triple, double.
What about you, Fadi?
Me too. And whatever Cem says on that side, I'm going to follow. Because he has a proven track record. But I would say with AI, what I'm seeing in some of the companies is the ability to iterate very quickly because the technology is moving so fast, it's changing so fast. And so I'll tell you one thing that I'm thinking more about now. So the skill set that VCs have to invest in AI now, maybe we need to start finding a different set of skill sets that requires us to understand the complexity of what these people are building. I think founders will choose which VCs they want to go to. The ones that are going, what Cem had explained about these founders and the mission-driven founders, they're not going to go to any VC. And so they're going to go to the VCs that are going to click with them. Also mission-driven VCs that are going to take them to the places and add value to them. And it's not very easy to add value to founders who are extremely capable and changing the world out there. So that's going to be critical.
Bar is increasing
and because again,
increasing.
back in cycles, because VCs will also vanish, right? So it's not only startups that go away. There are VCs that hang around and stick for a long term and very patient and effectively deliver the results all the time. And
so maybe the last round, what would be your advice for the entrepreneurs in the room for today's venture world? Your advice for the entrepreneurs?
I don't think that changes that much. I think, starting a tech venture is a crazy idea. You shouldn't do it. You shouldn't exist. You have to create miracles every day. On the other hand, if you're doing
Real roller coaster.
I think the number one topic that should be on your mind is talent. Who are you bringing on board? Who are you inspiring? Hopefully, newcomers that are better than you joining your team. I think don't delude yourselves. Be true to who you are. I think it's very difficult. We see lots of founders who now that the VC playbook is so much more visible and accessible, I think everybody knows how to talk to a VC.
Yeah,
you can easily tell when it's a founder who really hasn't embodied what they're sharing with you. They're just telling you what they think you want to hear versus somebody who sort of embodies.
So we need to do more diligence then?
Yeah,
Back channel diligence?
I think seeking authenticity has always been very important in early stage.
I think the team issue is so essential today, very early stage. The team issue is how do you bring in this incredible talent that's going to stick around with you, and because I have one of our companies in her pitch deck she's raising now. She refuses to put her tech talent with her.
Because
said,
they're going
why?
to steal?
She says, they'll steal them. I don't want to tell people. I said, but how are... she said, I'll talk about them, but I'm not going to show them in a slide.
Yeah, that became the most valuable thing.
And there is a bit of logic to that. But and because people are out there. And I'll tell you, in where we are, where I am, the competition is with... not necessarily always with the metas of this world, but with governments, because they are in there to attract talent, and they do pay a hefty amount of money, and so it gets you. If you're going to get millions of dollars in salaries, why become an entrepreneur?
Yes,
right?
You're right.
If your exit comes to you without having to found a company, why not?
Yes, without risk and roller coaster, that would be probably perfect.
I mean, unless you're changing the world and you're mission driven, and then.
Perfect.
Then you're welcome to come and visit us.
Definitely. Find us, 3 of us. So as we started, I think we are all optimistic about good founders at the end of the day. And thank you so much, Cem and Fadi.
Thank you.
And let's give them a big applause.
Thank you.